And greetings, salutations as well. Welcome to Sportsline on a Tuesday. We'll get to the NBA and the NFL in a bit, but we've got the former president of the Marlins sitting right here. So I think it's best we just talk about what's coming up. That would be the World Series at the end of this week. David Samson, always a pleasure. Now, I figure the way we should look at it on Tuesday before a series that starts on Friday is how we should really watch this series, right? So what are we looking for right off the bat? Phillies are the underdogs. Houston's the favorite. Let's start with Philadelphia. What do we need to see out of Philly in the early portion of this series to think that, look, they got a chance to pull the upset here?
So when you are the road team, forget the fact that they're heavy dogs. When you're the road team, it's a 2-3-2. You are trying to get a split in the first two games. The Philadelphia Phillies are very focused, knowing they've got to get to either Verlander or to Valdez. And it's not a panic to get game one. Of course, it'd be nice, but you've got to win one of the first two games. That's the first thing. Get that split. The second thing, if I'm the Phillies, I want someone, if I'm talking to them in the clubhouse, I'm Dave Dombrowski, I'm sort of whispering to JT or to Hoskins, I'm saying, hey, how about winning the MVP? I need someone other than Bryce Harper to win the MVP. I say that because Harper's going to be good, maybe great, but we need someone else to be excellent because you're going to need more than Bryce Harper if you're going to beat the Astros 4 times. Third thing that the Phillies need to do, and it's hard this time of year, barely any team can do it. We got a ring in 03 and we had a bunch of blown saves, but man, it was difficult to beat the Yankees. If you can get through a series without blowing saves, you're going to win that series. So we're looking very closely to see whether or not the Phillies will have blown saves in the back of their bullpen, which has been a strength for them in October.
All right, so I'm going to go back to something you said earlier, which was someone other than Bryce Harper, right? Because every year it seems that way. It's not necessarily the star of the team that ends up the World Series MVP. It's a dude who balled out for 4 or 5 games and really got the ring for his team. So when it comes to Philly, who could be that guy?
So how about my guy? How about my shortstop, who's now a catcher? JT Realmuto. He was traded to the Phillies. He signed a free agent deal. Bryce Harper wanted JT to stay on the team. He signed for the biggest contract that a catcher has gotten. When we tried to sign him long term, he said, pay me like Posey. And I said to him, but you're not Posey yet. Guess what? Now he is. And what he needs is rings, MVPs. He could be the guy. He's the best defensive catcher, one of the best offensive catchers. You can't run on him. He can hit. He's got all 10 tools. And the 6th through 10th, he's really good in the clubhouse. JT Realmuto could win the MVP. All
right, so maybe that's the guy. On the other side, you got the Astros. Not only are they the favorites, they haven't lost yet in the postseason.
Amazing.
It's pretty amazing how well they've played, how comprehensively they've really played throughout the playoffs. But they're facing a team in Philly that kind of feels like they got the mojo. They got the juice right now. So what does Houston have to do right at the beginning of this series to make sure that everyone knows, hey, we are the top dogs here?
The first thing we're doing is ignoring the stat that we've been talking about every day, which is the other 2 teams who went into the World Series undefeated both lost.
Right.
So we're not putting that on the blackboard. We're not even talking about that. But if you are the Astros, you don't go in saying, oh, we've got this. It's done. We're going to win the World Series. What you're trying to do is get game 1. I said the Phillies are trying to get a split. The Astros are trying to win game 1 because they want to stop the momentum that the Phillies have. And believe me, the Phillies have plenty of that. To stop it, you win game 1. The second thing, when you are playing at home, you want to get early runs to get your crowd in the game. I want to get the crowd in Houston to be just like the crowd in Philly. So I'm speaking to my marketing department, my sales department, my in-game people, because I want the atmosphere in Houston to be just like Philly. It's going to be hard, but it's doable and easier if the roof is closed. So look for the roof to be closed, which will be an advantage to the Astros, so they can sort of be like Philadelphia. So you want to score early, but when you're at home and you score early, what's the key to winning? Add on. It always made me crazy with first inning runs, and then we wouldn't score the rest of the game. You've got to add on if you're going to win at home. Score early, add on.
I feel like for Houston, become more like Philly, you got to give everyone a free energy drink. When you walk in the building, I'm all hyped up because Philly, they wake up that way. But when it comes to the Astros, as far as players, we're talking about Philly players. You said Real Muto was the guy there. Yeah, I'm thinking Jose Altuve hasn't really done a whole lot, but he's not the kind of player I'm looking for as far as who off the radar. So who on the Astros could come up big, maybe end up winning MVP?
Imagine Altuve has 2 hits in the postseason.
It's insane.
Staggering to me. Altuve is going to have to do it, but he's not the sleeper. The sleeper is the guy who's hitting behind Alex. His name is Kyle Tucker. If you haven't watched him play, you're seen an above-average right fielder. Great arm, but his bat from the left side is going to be critical. His ability to hit for power, his ability to hit in the gaps, and he hits both off-speed and fastballs. You cannot pitch to him. He's got to do it in case Yordan doesn't do it. Maybe Altuve stays cold. Maybe Alex doesn't do the job that he did in the LCS. Kyle Tucker could be in the perfect position to help the Astros win the World Series. He could be my value pick for MVP.
Altuve is like the scariest player in this series to me.
He's my size. He's our size.
He's our size, and he hasn't done a whole lot, but if he wakes up, Houston could just roll, you feel like. That's how it feels, at least. If Altuve hits on all cylinders, oh, Lordy. Now, we've been talking about this series since both teams clinched, right, over the weekend. Has anything changed? Who's your pick and in how many games, and has that moved at all from when we started talking about it?
So there's been no announcement for the starting pitcher. I thought it was for sure going to be Wheeler, and they'd go Wheeler and Nola. Rob Thompson met the media today and said, you know, there's a chance we could give Wheeler an extra day and go Nola in Game 1. The reason that surprises me is your Game 1 pitcher, remember the schedule, 2-3-2. You want to line up Wheeler and Nola because they then become your Game 5 and 6 pitcher. If they go Nola first because he didn't pitch because they clinched so quickly, Philadelphia did, winning in 5, I'd be very surprised if they do that. But Rob Thompson is not saying that if they're not going to do it. But what about misdirection? We used to tell our manager, little secret here, we'd say, hey, go to the media and tell them we're going to pitch Penny. When in fact we knew we weren't pitching Penny because we wanted the other team to prepare for Penny, and then it wasn't going to be Penny. Guess what? That doesn't work. It doesn't matter at all. You can put all the video you want. We're in October. The Astros are ready for anyone Philly throws. Philly's ready for anyone Houston throws. So tell me, Rob, who are you going to pitch? I don't know. Astros in 6.
It's still there. Astros in 6. That's where it started, and that's where David Samson, great talking to you about the World Series. We'll be doing it all the way until we get into it, and we'll be covering the World Series as well. Really looking forward to it. The history between these two teams, the Phillies and the Astros, there's not a whole lot of it. The last time they played in the postseason was 1980 in the NLCS. The Phillies won it, went on to win the World Series. They only played 3 times. It was a 3-game series in Houston, October 3rd through 5th. One of those games, you see the Astros blew them out through a combined no-hitter. Not a lot to go on. Game 1 is Friday night in H-Town.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.